Hey everybody, welcome to the Health How-To channel. Today we're going to go over how to fix bad posture and fix back pain with these 14 best tips and tricks to help correct your posture. Make sure to watch until the end where I talk about the most important posture tip that will help all of you with stiff necks and backs while working from home or gaming. Also, make sure to subscribe to the Health How-To channel so we can help you achieve the best health at home naturally. Now let's get straight into the 14 best tips and tricks to fix bad posture. Why are we even talking about having good posture? What's the point of good posture? Well, when our spine and joints are in the optimum position, it can sustain loads for a longer time with less muscle fatigue. Think of a bridge, which will represent your bony structures such as your spine and joints. That is in its most stable position where the cables of the bridge, which represent your muscles, tendons, and ligaments, have the most minimal and most balanced force through each of the cables. When there is less strain on your muscles when you are standing or sitting for long periods, then you will have less neck and back pain. Also, the more slumped you are, the harder it is for your lungs to get oxygen and may make you feel tired, irritable, or produce headaches. In addition, slouching can squish your intestines, making it harder to digest food. Good posture helps slow down the wear and tear on your hip and knee joints. Imagine driving your car all the time on wheels that are not aligned or balanced. The tires would wear out a lot faster. Good posture will also stop our spine and joints from getting stuck in painful positions. Let's say you've had bad posture for years. Thanks to our increasingly sedentary and convenient lifestyle, we can develop nagging neck and back pain after hours spent studying, falling into the social media rabbit hole on your phone, binge watching Netflix, and working on laptops. In one German study done in 2018, researchers found that subjects who were taught how to be aware of their posture and how to self-correct were able to decrease the intensity of their chronic pain from fibromyalgia, arthritis, and neck and shoulder pain. Here are some of the most useful posture tips and what can happen to your body if you don't follow these posture guidelines. Tip number 1, take a picture. First of all, how can you correct your posture if you don't really know what your posture looks like? Relying on a mirror is not always the best way because you tend to automatically correct your bad posture without really taking it all in. And while you can find ways of looking at your side posture with 2 mirrors, you may not have 2 floor-length mirrors on hand. So, get a baseline. Have someone take a picture of you standing forward-facing in your most natural position. Then another in a position that you think is good posture. Take another of you facing sideways, again, first in your relaxed position, then in another with good posture. And finally, one where your back is against the wall, again in your relaxed position. Take a look at the standing facing forward pictures. Are your shoulders, hips, knees fairly level? Are your feet facing fairly straight and even? Next, look at your side view pictures. Imagine a plumb line being dropped from the ear to the midpoint of your shoulders, through the midpoint of your hips, knees, and finally the heels. Is your body mostly centered through this line, or, like many people with bad posture, your head is sticking forward like a turtle, your upper back rounded, and your arms are forward in front of your body? Now, there are a number of variations in posture, but it seems to be the most common for people who have neck and back pain from excessive screen use. How about when you tried to stand straight? Did it seem really unnatural and difficult? And does your posture really seem that much better in the photo when you tried really hard? And finally, when you stood with your back against the wall, how much of a gap was there between your head and back against the wall? If you tend to get neck or back pain at work or when sitting too long, you should also take front-facing and side view pictures in the sitting position. Try to have someone casually take the picture when you aren't paying attention after you've been sitting for a long time. When looking at the front-facing pictures, are you leaning to one side? Are you crossing your legs? Is your neck turned to one side or tilted? Are your shoulders up to your ears? When looking from the side, Are you sitting at the edge of the chair? Is your head sticking forwards like a turtle? Is your upper back rounded and shoulders up to your ears? Or do you have a habit of putting your chin in your hands? If you work from a laptop, are you looking down with your shoulders curled forwards? Let's go over your pictures in more detail. Tip number 2, keep your ears over your shoulders. Don't let your chin poke out and keep your head level. The most common postural issue that leads to neck pain and stiffness is when the chin is poking out forwards. This can lead to stretched out neck muscles and sore and achy shoulders that are trying to support the weight of your head that is too far over the edge for too long. Imagine if you had just caught an 8-pound fish and had to hold it in midair for 3 hours rather than reeling it in. Think of how much heavier it feels when it is further away from you and how much more force you need to keep this 8-pound fish, incidentally also the average weight of your head, up in the air rather than right in your hands. Look at this picture of someone staring at their phone. The first skeleton on the left shows the head and neck fairly straight and putting about 4 kilograms or about 9 pounds through the spine and neck muscles. You can see the further down your neck bends, the higher the amount of pull on the neck muscles and tendons, ligaments, and discs. Finally, the last skeleton on the right, which, let's face it, looks like most people who use their phone, needs a whopping 60 pounds to hold up their head. 60 pounds! How many seconds can you hold a 60-pound weight before your arm muscles start hurting? That's the weight of a medium-sized mini fridge. Tip number 3, keep your shoulders over your hips. Similar to your neck, it is really important to keep your shoulders over your hips if you want to fix your back pain when standing, sitting, or driving. The further forward your shoulders are in front of your hips, the more your low back muscles get strained and hurt. Tip number 4, keep your hands by your side when you are standing or sitting at rest. If you see that your hands are in front of your thighs when standing, it's usually a sign that your shoulders are slouched forwards. Pulling your shoulders back can also really help fix shoulder pain that occurs from tightness and pinching in the front of your shoulders from always keeping your arms in front of you. This also goes for people who tend to sit with their arms folded in front of their chest. Any prolonged slouched shoulder position can lead to mid-back and shoulder pain down the road. Tip number 5, don't let your belly hang out. This tip is not only useful to get rid of low back pain, but can also help you look like you lost a few pounds from that stubborn lower abdominal fat area. Standing with your belly hanging out puts a lot of pressure on your low back and discs, so use your abdominal muscles to tuck in your tailbone. This tip also applies to those of you who sit with your butt out and results in an excessively curved low back. This position stretches out the abs for long periods of time and can cause lengthened and weak abs in the long run. Tip number 6, hips over heels. When standing, try to keep your torso over your heels for maximum stability and therefore the least amount of muscle strain. Remember, the closer you can keep your whole body in a straight line, the more your muscles, which are like the cables holding up a bridge, can be balanced, rather than constantly having one set of wires on one side of the bridge pulling harder than the other side, which will be on slack. The next few posture tips are mainly for people who sit at their desk for hours. Tip number 7, when sitting, keep both feet flat on the floor. Keeping both feet flat on the floor is really the best way to keep a stable base of support and fix your back pain when sitting. Remember when I said not to cross your ankles or knees? Well, that's not the whole truth. You actually can, but you need to make sure that you cross both sides fairly equally. And that's usually the problem. Eventually, we all tend to cross the same leg over, and that leads to short and tight muscles and stiff hips and knees. For people whose feet don't touch the floor, use a little stool or a wide empty binder to act as an angled footstool. This will also help make sure your back is up against the chair. Tip number 8, when sitting, keep hips and knees at 90 degrees. Make sure your chair seat angle is adjusted so that your hips and knees are at right angles. If your chair is too low, you can get knee pain and stiffness from the constant pressure on your kneecaps. If your chair is too high, your low back can arch excessively, putting too much pressure through your discs and causing back pain and sciatica. Tip number 9. When sitting, keep your weight evenly distributed on your buttocks. Similar to if you're crossing your ankles and knees, if you keep your weight more on one hip than the other, you are at risk of developing sciatica, which is a pinch on the nerve that runs from your buttocks to your foot. Sciatica pain is no joke. It hurts a lot, and it can take several weeks to months to get better. How can we make sure we're not leaning more to one side? Well, often it happens if we use the mouse a lot and lean on that elbow for hours. Sometimes we can catch ourselves leaning on the same side armrest on the sofa to watch TV, or always leaning on the left armrest when driving. So make sure you are regularly changing sides of the couch, and that if you use 2 computer monitors, that they are directly in front of you rather than off to the one side. Tip number 10. Spread out your desk items evenly. One posture trick to stop yourself from always leaning or turning to the same side is to evenly distribute your items on the right and left side of your desk, like your coffee cup, stapler, documents, printer, and phone, so that you have to lean, turn, and reach both ways regularly. Tip number 11. Keep your shoulders down. Do you scrunch your shoulders up to your ears when you're stressed or concentrating? That's one of the biggest reasons why you have chronic neck pain and stiffness. Now, I know that we can't get rid of stress. There will always be stress, but you can be aware and change how your body responds to stress. A lot of people hold their tension in their neck, shoulders, and shoulder blade area. Here's the thing though, a lot of it is self-inflicted. Try making a really tight fist. How long could you hold that position before your hand starts to hurt or cramp up? Well, that's what's happening to your trapezius muscles when you're scrunching your shoulders up to your ears. This takes quite a bit of practice before it becomes a habit. So, to start, consciously relax your shoulders down to let the blood flow to your muscles. Do your deep breathing and put an end to chronic neck pain. Tip number 12. Position your laptop at eye level. No matter how good you imagine your posture is, a laptop was really not meant to replace your PC to use for 8 to 10 plus hours a day. In less than 30 minutes, your posture goes from ballerina to caveman without you realizing it. But let's say you don't have a dedicated monitor. Set your laptop up on 3 thick books so that the middle of the screen is at eye level. Add a wireless keyboard and mouse, and within 1 to 2 weeks, you should notice a drastic decrease in your neck stiffness and upper back pain. Tip number 13, how to hack a sit-to-stand desk. Obviously, a sit-to-stand desk can be great to have, but they can be pretty pricey too. And sometimes we just have way too much stuff on our desk to risk papers falling everywhere when we have to move the desk up and down, you know? So here's a way of hacking a sit-to-stand desk. Clear off 2 bookshelves, one shelf at eye level and one at elbow level. Put your laptop up on the top shelf and your wireless keyboard at the bottom shelf. Boom, free sit-to-stand desk. Tip number 14, move. The most important fact is that as human beings, we were not meant to sit in front of a screen for 8 to 10 plus hours a day. We need to move. In the end, it really doesn't matter how perfect your posture is. Just ask those royal guards at Buckingham Palace who stand for 2 hours at a time with ramrod straight backs if they get back pain. In fact, they are actually not expected to stand still for more than 10 minutes at a time and will often start marching on the spot to prevent back and joint pain. So, if you are normally sitting for hours at a time, you need to get up and move around, ideally every 30 minutes. Set a timer to vibrate every 30 minutes on your phone to remind yourself. Walk on the spot during conference calls or while watching YouTube videos. Do a 30-second stretch at your desk. Don't wait until you're in pain to change your posture, because often it will take a lot longer to get rid of the pain than if you had just been proactive and got up and changed a position 10 minutes earlier. Now check out this video to see some more health how-to life hacks. Also, subscribe to the channel so that we can help you with easy health tips regularly. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.